of all of the people that the libs should have weighing in on the whole signal problem / issue, it shouldn't be this one that we're going to talk about. Also, one of the leading libs say the libs should have doubled down on DEI. I wonder if that's ultimately going to be a good strategy. And also, we overpaid for something by literally 1,000,000%. Not hyperbole. We overpaid by 1,000,000%. All that and more coming up on this episode of Turning Point Tonight. My name is Jobob. Thanks so much for tuning in. Together, we are charting the course of America's cultural comeback. This is Turning Point Tonight. Now, remember, you can email the show anytime you want. tpt@tpusa.com. You can email us whether you agree with us or whether you're wrong. We accept all kinds of emails any time of day. Shoot the email across, and we tend to read those at around segment 4 of this show. So stick around, and you can maybe get your email read. Before we talk about all of those things with our awesome panel coming up, I want to hit on this particular story that has been making libs upset. Ezra Klein had a big podcast with Jon Stewart in which they discussed the $42 billion that was going to be spent on broadband issued by the Biden administration. Now, for that $42 billion, guess how much broadband the American people received? That's correct, 0. And that is part of their conversation as to why. And we're going to play a clip from that conversation when we bring our panel in and react to the utter astonishment on Jon Stewart's face. But you have to ask yourself, why were 0 new infrastructure built for this broadband initiative? Well, Ezra Klein points it out, and we're not going to play the whole clip, but we'll basically bring it to this. The 14 different steps that states and jurisdictions had to go through in order to get approved for part of that $42 billion. The states had to submit letters of intent. They then had to request planning grants. Then the National Telecommunications Information Administration needed to review. Then the states needed to create a 5-year action plan. Then the federal government needed to release. And it goes on and on and on, all the way to the point where by step 13, only 3 states had continued to participate in the process. In other words, the libs made this big stink about, well, everyone deserves broadband in the country. We're going to allocate $42 billion for everyone to get broadband. And also, we're going to make it so freaking hard to get that nobody actually will ever get broadband. In 3 years, 0 new infrastructure has been built by this massive amount of money that has been wasted by the libs. Here to comment on that and so much more, Matt Riggle is a comedian. Paula Scanlan is the coordinator for Early Vote Action. Guys, thanks so much for joining us today. Now, I want to play this clip of what we just talked about. This is Jon Stewart's reaction to the laundry list of things that people had to do, states had to do in order to get this. Let's play this clip and we'll get your reaction on the other side.
States must submit a 5-year action plan. So the states kind of go back and they kind of think about how they're going to do this to make allocation decisions. Then, having already done their letter of intent, their request for planning grant.
And what the did they apply for? What was their NOFO?
Like, if the 5-year action plan, step 9, NTIA must review and approve each state's, again, initial proposal. By my read, we have had at least 2 initial proposals here, but that's a different issue.
Oh my God. Wait, who's challenging it within the state?
Well, organized interest groups, environmental groups, like I don't know who specifically, but literally anybody. This is, right. I want to say something because it's very important I say this. This is the Biden administration's process for its own bill. They wanted this to happen. This is how liberal government works now.
This is something they instituted for this bill.
For their bill. This is a bill passed by Democrats with a regulatory structure written by Democratic administration. Step 12. States must run a competitive sub-granting process.
Oh my God. At step 12, after all this has been done.
Yeah, none of that could have happened along the way here. In summary, states are nearly at the finish line. And it says to stop their progress now, or worse, to make them go backwards, would be a stick in the spokes.
I think so. That's Jon Stewart of Daily Show fame, who is not a conservative by any stretch of the imagination, reacting as a conservative would, getting this information. Matt, your thoughts on even the libs saying, yeah, this is insane.
Well, just listening to part of that 12-step program, I think a lot of people would need another type of 12-step program after the fact. More one that's actually proven to be a little bit more helpful. The other thing that sticks out to me, well, first of all, when I read the article, when I see the word broadband or rural broadband, I go, okay, I think I know, I'm pretty sure I know what that means, but I'm going to Google it just to make sure. And then I do, and I still go, after 42 billion, nothing comes after that. Like when you propose something that includes the number 42 billion, it doesn't matter what comes after that. Like short of like all of homelessness, not like a dead, like all of homelessness is gone, or all the veterans are taken care of for the rest of their lives, like short of anything like that. And I think even at that point, the veterans would go, yo, that's still a little steep. But it's wild.
Paula, this is, again, we generally don't see, libs usually defend dumb lib takes, but then even in this case, Jon Stewart is one of the chief libs. He is even going, what the F is going on? What are your thoughts?
Honestly, this entire situation, I mean, I can't even say I'm surprised. Like, is anyone surprised by this? But seeing his reaction is really showing me that this is just not even conservative or liberal, okay? This is like insanity versus just normal people's reaction. And his reaction was not even what we should expect of a conservative, is what we should expect of a person who has brain cells. And so I guess I'm honestly grateful to find out that he has brain cells, which I didn't think he had for a really long time. So I'm grateful. That's my biggest takeaway from this, because Jon Stewart is actually an intelligent, living human being with a functioning brain.
It's sentient. I don't know if that's what the libs would like as their bar for success. If you're sentient, you're good with us. But also, who can blame them after the last 4 years? Speaking of people who may or may not have some brain cells, Tim Walz, and again, I never anticipated continuing to talk about the Biden administration or Tim Walz, for example. But here's the thing. The libs are kind of trying to choose their next person who's going to take the mantle and run with it in the 2028 election. Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota and the former failed vice presidential candidate, is vying for that spot. He's on a public speaking tour in which he said this, and I have some thoughts, but let's play this clip and get your reaction on the other side.
That our strength is our diversity. We've been talking about this for years as a country of immigrants, and we let them define the issue on immigration. We let them define the issue on DEI, and we let them define what woke is. We got ourselves in this mess because we weren't bold enough to stand up and say, you damn right we're proud of these policies. We're going to put them in, and we're going to execute them. And so...
Oh, okay, Tim Walz, I guess you've learned nothing as to why you lost. Having said that, Paula, as a coordinator for early vote action, does this make your job easier now that they're continuing to double down on things that they have proven to have lost on from this election, and especially going forward?
I mean, it certainly does make my job easier. Maybe they just don't want to win elections. I mean, I truly thought that they would try to walk this back and do what the Democrats always do and say, we never said that. We never stood by that. We never said anything about DEI. What are you talking about? Like the gaslighting strategy? But apparently they're not even trying that anymore. And they're just saying, we stand by this. We didn't do enough. And also his biggest competition right now is AOC. I mean, AOC is making a run for the ticket in 2028. Like that is who they have to put up for this. I feel bad. Truly, I feel bad for them. I feel bad that this is the way that they are going. And I, for their sake, hope they figure it out.
Yeah, Matt, when Charlie was on Gavin Newsom's podcast, it was fascinating for me to see the super progressive governor of California effectively agree with all of the things that Charlie was saying, especially when he was criticizing the libs for their side. Which side, I think, here does ultimately wins out? And I'm not calling Gavin a sane person by any stretch of the imagination, but he's clearly pushing for libs to go kind of back towards the middle and away from this stuff. And then you've got, like Paula was saying, the AOC side and the Tim Walz side that is even pushing further towards the DEI stuff. In terms of just the libs as a whole, which push and pull side is gonna come out ahead, do you think?
Well, I don't know. In terms of what you said about Gavin wanting to, I don't know that I agree that he's trying to pull libs more to the center. I think he's trying to be viewed as more in the center so that he gets more of that swing vote and seems a little less, unreasonable as some might appear. In terms of what Tim Walz said in that clip, I had two thoughts on it. The first one is he's almost correct in a way on what he says when he says we didn't push hard enough on this, and this, because they basically didn't run on any policy. They didn't use policy to try and win that election. So in a way, he's almost correct. The other thought I had was when you just on the surface of it, we didn't go hard enough on DEI. We didn't go hard enough on immigration and such. And that's kind of like Starbucks going, I don't think we're pushing the coffee hard enough. I don't think people know we have it. I think we need to go a little harder on the coffee. So yeah.
Yeah, and that's assuming that you don't like your coffee that way, because the American people have been abundantly clear. Yeah, we don't like any of that sort of stuff. And also regarding the thing with Gavin, I don't want to mislead viewers. I don't actually think Gavin thinks any of the things that he was saying. But you're right. He's specifically trying to pull voters away from the other candidates that are also vying for that same top title, running for president. Matt and Paula will be right back after the break to discuss a whole lot more. Also, we're going to check in with Monica Page, Turning Point's White House correspondent, right after the break. Don't go away. We'll be right back after this.